Hello, welcome to the Galaxy Man Show interview show. For this week is this incredible actor known by the name of Dick Colligan, who will be in this incredible short film coming very soon called The Hanging of William Kane. So I'll be adding Dick into the live now and have a chat with Dick about his role as William. So yeah, let's add Dick in and have a chat with Dick.
Yeah, I am. I'm an actor and a comedian, and I think the last movie that I've done is something called The Hanging of William Kane, which I'm actually really excited to announce just won Best Picture at the Rome International Film Festival. So we're all really excited. We just literally got that announcement like probably an hour ago.
Okay.
So really exciting, and yeah, I've been in the industry. I started out in stand-up comedy about 4 years ago, and I've been acting professionally for about the last 2 years.
Awesome. So we'll dive right into the questions now. So for my very first question, The Hanging of William Kane, like, what was this whole experience like for you? Like, you play the role of William. Like,
Yeah.
what was this whole experience like for you? Like, just as an actor and being on set for this film?
It was great. I could not say enough about our crew, our production crew, our producer, our director, Preston Walden, my co-stars, Tony Sensamichi, Laura Stetman, Les McDowell, Kimberly Olsen. It was just a fantastic experience from start to finish. First of all, and when the trailer's out on YouTube, I would encourage people to watch it to get a sense of what the film is going to be like. But it was shot in a town called Dry Creek, which has been recreated exactly to the last nail to resemble a frontier town in the Old West in the 19th century, and it was spectacular. Les McDowell put it together. We couldn't have asked for a better place to shoot. And it was just a really exciting experience overall. I mean, there was no running water. There was no electricity. We really were in the Old West. And it was Florida, so it was, hotter than hellfire. Just like the old days. It was a magical experience, honestly.
Awesome. So on to my very next question, onto that, like, what was like your favorite scene or memorable moment about being on set for this film?
That's a really good question. First of all, actually, I don't really know that much about you. I know that you do this show, and I'll answer your question for sure.
Yes.
But I know that you do this show, and I saw you, Laura. But what is your background?
So, I started doing the whole YouTube kind of stuff back in 2013 when I was in high school, and I was like, I want to like support actors and musicians like yourself because I love, like, especially during COVID, it has been especially hard during COVID times. And when COVID first hit, I was like, I want to start doing these Instagrams and supporting you guys and supporting films like this and just getting you guys out there, which, like, I love films and I love like sci-fi and I love anything films wise, like. And I just, as I said, like, I love supporting you guys, and it just means the whole world to me, just supporting. And I don't care about no money, no fame or anything, but I just love supporting. And yeah, that's why I want to get you guys out there and support these films.
That's awesome. And I just saw my friend Kat Geltz joined from Down Under. You guys, she is a comedian.
Okay.
She does a lot of nonverbal comedy, does some stand up. But hey, Kat, thanks for joining. And you should follow the Galaxy Man Show. This guy does great stuff. Anyway, man, thank you, Jacob, for your help in doing this and supporting us. So anyway, to answer your question, I have a lot of favorite moments, but the number one was the bank scene, and you'll see it when the film comes out. But it was. It was pretty close to real life. I mean, we had, everything was period accurate in terms of our props, our costuming, all that stuff. And we really were in like an Old West bank. I mean, it was small. We had these wooden floorboards that almost gave out a couple times. Um, and, you know, it was just such a fun and really sort of thrilling experience, because we were doing, you know, a real bank robbery. And, you know, that's, as you can imagine, like a pretty heart pounding event to be a part of. So there's a lot to look forward to when you see the film.
Awesome. So on to next question. So like, who was your favorite cast member to like work with out of all like the cast of the film?
Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble for this one. That's another really good question. It's hard to say, because I mean, probably any actor you ask this question is going to say the same thing. Like, everyone was great, and they were. Man, you know, Les McDowell was really my like on-screen mentor. He's a veteran Western actor. He actually used to do comedy in LA at the famous Comedy Store, and has amazing stories. And he actually has a book called The Road Less Traveled, LES Traveled, which is great and tells a lot of those stories. But, you know, we bonded because, you know, I'm a comedian as well. I've done radio. You know, obviously was acting with him, and his character, the way that he played the character, was almost kind of like a father figure for me. You know, William is really lost. He doesn't have a moral compass really in this film. You know, he's up against incredible odds, and he's in really a no-win situation. So the way he deals with it is very difficult for him, and there's no one for him to turn to. You know, he gets sort of, the people that he turns to for advice end up not being very good at giving advice. And so Les's character, the sheriff, is someone that I really relied on to help me and try to sort of allow me to set things right. And when you see the film, you'll see more of that. But you know, he was amazing to work with just because of his background. Laura Stedman, my co-star, was awesome. She and I bonded right from the beginning. We actually, the whole most of the principal actors and the producers, we got an Airbnb for the shoot. So we were all hanging out at night, which was great because we got to know each other. You know, goof around a little bit. And Laura and I were really simpatico because, like, we're both really healthy, and you know, we both like to get up early and work out and stuff. And so I think that helped our on-screen chemistry. And, you know, from the very beginning, we totally just meshed. And it was like a really, really like organic kind of on-screen relationship. We're still friends and we still text. We're actually doing another movie with Preston called "And Then Came You," which is going to be awesome. I think you had a question about that.
I did, yes.
So, you know, and I spent the most time on screen with those guys. Mark Ralston, who played another sheriff, was awesome to work with. You know, Ben Tubbs and Eric Andre were awesome. Ken Winkles was awesome. Gosh, the Hole in the Wall gang that did a lot of the extra work were great. You know, I mean, there were so many really, really authentic Western characters in this film, and so many really authentic Western actors and reenactors that we got to work with. That, you know, there really was a community. You know, the filming and the shooting was really a community event, and we were really lucky to be able to work in a place like Dry Creek with people like the Hole in the Wall gang that just made it a totally authentic experience.
So on to our next question. So, like, why should people like watch The Hanging of William Cain, like, when it gets released? Like, what makes this film watchable?
Well, it's a very relatable story. William gets put in a position that is something that a lot of people can relate to, especially after what, the whole world went through in the last 2 years, being up against tough financial deadlines and trying to make a decision that's the right one for his family, that hopefully doesn't have any negative consequences, is something that I think a lot of us have faced. The action is great. There's awesome drama. There's a lot of tension. There's a great twist that I won't spoil for you guys. But it's a relatable story that I think, even though it takes place a long time ago, the lessons that it contains are very, very current. And it's got great characters, and it's got all the elements of a great story, and it has a real message, I think, that people will gravitate toward. And it's a pretty authentic depiction of what life was like back then, which, we complain about, not getting our seamless deliveries on time or our Uber Eats or whatever you use. These people didn't have running water, so just imagine you're in a wood house when it's 110 degrees outside, trying to clean yourself. You only have hey, what's up, guys? Eva, Jingy. You have 2 pairs of clothes, right? You've essentially 2 changes of clothes. You have what you wear all week, and then you have what you wear to church. That's it. That's what most people had in that time period. So we really depicted that very authentically, and I think it's going to be a great lesson for people. Miss you too, Jingy. To watch and to draw from.
So on to our next question. So onto that with the whole next film that I'm going to mention, which is And Then Came You.
Yeah.
What was this set like for you? Like getting to play the character of Tom?
So that one we haven't done yet. I think we're going to shoot next spring. Okay. The latest that I've heard for that one, but that's really exciting. I read Preston Walden, who directed William Kane.
Yep.
Hey, Danny. Wrote And Then Came You, and it's an unbelievable story. When he sent it to me, and I read it, I cried at the end, which I will admit to you and to no one else. But it's totally, very, very different, completely different genre. It's romance. Laura Stepman, my romantic lead in William Kane, is going to be the romantic lead in Then Came You. And it's really her story about her transformation in life, dealing with a really traumatic experience from a young age, and then carrying that with her through life. And trying to find a resolution for that, which again, anyone I think can relate to. We've all had really tough experiences in life and had to move on from them. And so that's going to be really, really fun to shoot with. I don't know that many people in the cast besides Laura and Heather Fraley, who was on the last project, William Kane. Who I think you've also interviewed.
I'll be interviewing her not this week, next week. I think pretty sure
Cool.
It is. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So that I'm really, really excited about. Totally different genre, as I mentioned, but it's a great story. Preston did an incredible job. The guy is so prolific. It's really kind of amazing what he's been able to put out. And if you look at his IMDb, he's got probably 8 or 9. Feature credits as a director, which is a lot.
Yeah.
For someone who's not 70 years old. So I'm really excited to get started on that one.
Awesome. So on to our next question. So what made you decide as a person and especially as an actor to get into the whole acting process and things in the first place? Like, what made you say, "Hey, I want to become an actor"?
Well, I like telling people how they should think about things, and actors seem to be very good at doing that. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I wanted to be Luke Skywalker when I was about 4 years old. And then I realized that that was probably going to be a tall order. So the next best thing was acting. And I didn't do it right away because I was worried about, money, and I was worried about, ironically, like whether I looked good enough, because I thought like all actors had to look good, which is not true. And so once I kind of got over those things, and I read a book called Dianetics, which is really, really good at getting you to handle like irrational fears and things like that. Like all these things that I was thinking about were very irrational. It like didn't really like none of them were really true, but they were like in my mind, and so I couldn't really get past that. And so that helped me a lot. That actually is what got me started doing stand-up comedy, because I was afraid of doing that too. And then I'd been writing jokes for months, and then I was like, why don't I just go try these out? And I did that, and I was doing that for a few years in New York. Dr. Little. So yeah, I started doing that. I started auditioning. I was working on my acting. I was working on learning how to self-tape, because as you can here, that's what all of our are now. And it took a while to really and get to a point where I could turn in a really good learn that, for me to learn how to become a better actor, which I did through class at the Acting Center in LA, which I totally recommend. And it was really one thing at a time. I mean, I had a day job on Wall Street, actually, which is a lot of work. So I was pretty busy, and still am. That never really changes. And after a while, that I got better, and my tapes got better, and I started attracting attention of people down here in Florida. And then I was actually supposed to do a film in LA called Fall Fever with Ture, a great Sri Lankan actor and producer. That's been delayed because of COVID, but that'll be probably next year. So next year is going to be very busy. And, just you meet people, and it's like any business, really. I think people think of it as show business is a business. It's built on relationships, and it's built on work and trust and friendship. And, I've met great people in this industry, and I feel very fortunate to have landed in Florida, which has an unbelievably welcoming and talented film industry. I got a great agent, Chris Newton, Newton Agency, who was a working actor for 7 years, and really cares about his talent and really cares about the people he represents. And, I love movies. I've always loved movies. Movies are like a religion. I take them very seriously. I don't watch that many of them because I'm very passionate about them. And the ones that I love, I watch over and over and over again. And it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I'm so lucky. Spend every day working, getting the next project, reading for the next project, working my lines. I love auditioning. I love rehearsing. I love working with actors. I love working with directors. I love writing. I have a script that I'm working on myself. And so it's just been a great – what's up, Perla? It's been a really, really awesome opportunity that I'm thankful for every day.
Awesome. So sorry, next question. So if you could have any dream role, anything in TV or film, what dream role would you want and why?
Wow. I wanted to play Maverick's in Top Gun, so make that happen. We'll see. I've always wanted to be Luke Skywalker. That was my goal, and hopefully, there will be a Disney, maybe another prequel, because the original prequels, they didn't have Luke. They had Anakin, obviously, but they cut out right before Luke. So I'd love to play Luke growing up. I would probably have to like bleach my hair or something, wear a wig. I don't know. But Star Wars has also been a huge influence on my life. I mean, I've seen the movies over 50 times, the original trilogy. I used to run scenes with my brother when I was 5. I had memorized the entire movie, and then I would direct him. And if he got something wrong, I would cut him. So those are probably my 2 dream roles. There's so many other ones. I mean, gosh, some of my favorite movies are, Lawrence of Arabia, Apocalypse Now, The Godfather, The Deer Hunter. You can tell I really like 70s cinema.
Yes.
I'd love to do anything with that kind of story, that kind of character. My favorite genre actually is spy. So I'd love to do a film. One of my favorite films. Have you ever seen Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Yes. Great film.
That's my favorite movie in years. I've seen it probably 10 times.
Okay.
Really understand what was going on until at least the second or third time I saw it in the theater. I was completely captivated by Gary Oldman. He elevated the craft of acting to a new plateau. He's just such a brilliant artist. I'd love to do anything in spy. Actually, spy film, a short film called Gone Gray. You probably saw my IMDb. That actually won Best Picture at the Orlando International Film Festival Arise Challenge, which I was really happy about. I had a supporting role as a security guard, but it was great. I'll see if I can get you a copy of it.
Yeah.
So anything spy related, I would love to do. I love westerns. I love action. I love thriller, cop, all those things. I like stuff with a message, which is the great thing about William Cain and Gone Gray, and Then Came You. And
I could actually fan cast you in Indiana Jones. Like, you would be a great Indiana Jones.
Amazing. Yeah, I love anything with Harrison Ford. I think he's genius. I would do anything to be in Indiana Jones. Absolutely. I thought Shia did a pretty good job in those movies. But God, the original Indiana Jones, I don't think he gets better than that. Spielberg and Lucas, what more could you ask for?
Awesome. So on to our next question. So onto that, like, what would be your like all-time favorite like TV or film currently that you've been watching, and why?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't watch that much TV, and most of the movies I watch, honestly, from the 70s.
Okay.
70s, 60s. So what current film? The last film I saw was Top Gun, which I really, really enjoyed. I was such a fan of the first one. I honestly did not have high hopes for the prequel or the sequel, or whatever I guess it's a sequel.
Yeah.
But they were pretty. It was pretty good. I really, really like comedies. I would love to do something with Will Ferrell. I think he's a genius. I think everything that comes out of his mouth is hilarious. Anything with Kevin Hart, who I think is a genius. It's really, really hard to say. I like all the kind of like I like the Fast and Furious franchise. I think those are great. They know what they're doing and they just deliver every time. Man, I'd love to do something with like Denzel. Because I think he does great movies with great messages. And he's built a career that anyone would obviously envy. And in terms of TV, I'd love to do like a period story. Like maybe The Crown.
Yes.
Something with a British accent where I can really sort of, get involved in something that's a bit bit more genteel than what I've been doing, to date. I've always just wanted to do something British, or maybe something, something Irish. I'd love to do
Yeah.
something Irish, maybe with, Colin Farrell, or
Yes.
possibly, any of the great Irish, Liam Neeson, you name it. They're all great. I'd love to do anything with
Yeah.
them.
Awesome. So I have to say, by the way, like because you did that British accent, Doctor Who. Would you do Doctor Who?
Obviously, yeah, of course.
Yes. I love
Yeah,
that.
Cumberbatch, man, he's yeah, man. I mean, there's so many great actors I'd love to work with. And that's the great thing about where we are in the industry. Like there's so many more opportunities, to work with people and meet your heroes and get yourself on screen, even if maybe you do something yourself. I don't know. I have a pilot I've been working on for an office comedy, which I'd love to do. There's so many great opportunities out there. I'm really excited for the future.
Awesome. So I'll have a next question for you. So, like with the whole acting industry, like what advice would you give someone wanting to get into the acting industry?
That's a great question. Find like what makes you unique. And what I've seen with a lot of actors is like they have kind of a specialty, like for instance, if you're a carpenter, like you might be really good at like making cabinets or something. So that would be like your specialty. As an actor, I think you want to nail down like what is your really core strength. For me, I started out in comedy, and so I auditioned for a lot of comedies, and I still do. It's ironic because a lot of people, when they see me on screen, peg me as like a dramatic actor, and obviously the William Kane, film was very dramatic. And then Kim Yu will be dramatic too. I guess I have a darker nature, I don't know, or I'm just a dramatic person. Maybe I kind of look dramatic, I guess, but find something. Maybe you're like a great musical talent. Maybe you're a great dancer. Maybe you are really good at dialects or accents. Maybe you're a really good physical actor, stunts. Fight scenes, combat, that kind of stuff. Maybe you're really rugged. Just nail down what your specialty is. Doesn't mean you have to only do that, but it really helps you to understand what kind of roles you should gravitate toward and what kind of reel you should create for yourself. When you market yourself, it's like what characters do you want to play and what are best suited for you, so that when you send something to an agent or a casting director, it really represents you. Doesn't mean it is you because you're playing a character. You're not playing you, but it's a character that should be very, very, very comfortable for you to play. That's really number one. Number two is start as early as you can. Do anything you can. I did theater in high school. I started playing music 20 years ago in jazz band as a guitarist. I played, coffee house gigs in college. I did open mics in New York. Then I gravitated toward comedy. So I've always been performing. Like I said, I was doing, I used to dance to the theme song from Batman when I was 3 years old. And then I would run dialogue with my brother, Star Wars and whatever. So if it's in you, you'll kind of see it start to come out. It'll be sort of irrepressible. I used to do songs for my family on like Thanksgiving. We would, hey, Boxy Banana, that's a great name. Wow, cool. If you're a performer, that's what you do in any outlet. Doesn't mean it has to be your job. Maybe it could be your job, and if you're passionate enough about it, it probably should be, because otherwise anything else you do is just not going to really feel good. But start as early as you can. Figure it out. If you want to do acting, definitely try theater, because it's a great way to learn. It's very authentic, and do it as much as you possibly can. My guitar teacher actually told me, he's like, if you're gonna do something creative, do it every day. And so, try it, work on it every day, work on your accents, work on your dialect, work on just impersonating people, do scenes from, famous movies that you love. Maybe you love The Godfather and you want to do, you want to be, you want to be Don Corleone. And so you do a couple, you do a scene and you make it seem like, even if it's for no one else but you, just so you feel it, in your heart. And then, it comes out naturally. That's how it should be. You want to be expressing yourself in that way as much as you possibly can in any kind of medium.
Well, actually, onto that, like, I actually, back in the day, when I was, like, super young, I actually did tap dancing.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun for, like, myself, just, like, learning something.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, and we did, like, a routine for Grease Lightning. And I had to hop on, yeah, we did, like, a whole Grease Lightning thing, and that was incredible. Like, it was just like something new that I did, and I was like, "Wow, this is a new learning experience for me," and I loved it. Like,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow, man, tap dance. I mean, so I took dance lessons for about 6 months.
Okay.
Mostly like ballroom, salsa. What else? Rumba, hustle, all that stuff, man. Dancing is the real deal, and it looks easy, and it's not always easy.
No,
it's
hard.
I've never done tap, but that's amazing.
Yeah. And anyway, on to the next question. So, if you looking back over your time, like, what would you say to your younger self looking back?
A lot. Don't do drugs. I think there's two ways that you can look at that. One is you could be like very sort of tough on yourself, which I used to be. But I think if I could give myself in my younger version any advice, it would be to like just do things regardless of what you're afraid of. And actually, I would go further and say you should do specifically what you are afraid of, because typically that's how you become better and how you grow, as a person. I would like to have started younger. I would like to have done, more work by this time in my career, but I've learned a lot in the things that I have done that were not acting related. So I never really like to look back and try to do things differently because I got so much out of what I've done that, it's kind of a silly exercise. But what I would say to people, in their teens and 20s is whatever you're passionate about, go do that in whatever capacity you can. If you want to be a director, I don't know, go good. I mean, now you can just get a phone and go to town. If you want to, be an investor, go do that. You can get Robinhood and do it for free, whatever. There's so many opportunities, but just listen to yourself, get as much experience as you can, do whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe it's not the thing you want to do once you start doing it, and it's better to learn that lesson earlier than later.
So let's go to the next question. So, like, what are the positive and negative sides into the whole acting industry, and how do you get through those, like, negative moments as an actor?
Well, the great thing about it is you can kind of use those in your acting. Sometimes, like, look, if you're having a tough day, maybe your character's having a tough day. Maybe that should come through in your performance. Maybe your character doesn't feel like doing whatever they're doing, and that shows. And that's a different way of portraying the scene than, someone else might have. I would say the tough moments are questioning yourself. And I think the tougher moments are really in the audition process. That's been the toughest for me because, you know, taping the original tape, that's fine. You know, that's just something that you do. You create your performance and you send it in, and hopefully you're proud of it, and you let it go where it will. But then when you get called back, you know, then you start to, because doing an audition on Zoom where you haven't met the people, you know, you're trying to get your framing right. You know, you're trying to manipulate your camera so your angles are right, your eye lines are right. You know, you're doing the dialogue correctly. You're looking where you need to look. You're natural. You're loose. All those things are going on at the same time on a Zoom call. I think that is the most challenging aspect of this industry and this job. And like I said, it took me a year, probably even more than that, to get it down. And that's when I've questioned myself the most, is in those times, those moments right before the callback where you're like, is this the right thing? I mean, you know what you're supposed to do because they called you back for this purpose, right? They liked the way you did it. But, you know, you're, in a sense, you're trying to do it again because you want to give them what they wanted, right? They liked it the first time. But then you get direction. You're like, okay, now how do I change that, right? Because I was so invested in this one performance. Now they're asking me to do it differently. That's where really training comes into play, and understand, okay, well, how would my character be different? How would my character work differently and experience this moment differently? Different than you did 5 seconds ago. You know what I mean? Like it's right there. You don't have like a day to prepare and then come back and do it again. You're doing it in a minute or 2 minutes. So what I would say is try to enjoy those moments. You know, try to find, like, it's very harrowing and it's very nerve-wracking, but it's also exciting because, look, nothing really cool can happen without some risk. You know, so just enjoy that moment and try to use it in your performance.
So it's a very last question. So, like, what's next for you? Like, any projects that you like to announce on the show or anything?
Yeah, well, so I actually was just talking to the producer of film that may turn into a series called Fall Fever. I think I mentioned earlier, it's with a producer director named Gahan Kure, who did a film called The Billionaire. I just found out that's probably going to shoot next year, which I'm over the moon about because that's been at least 2 years in the making. I got hired for that in September of 2020, so we're almost 2 years. And then came you, which I'm really, really excited about. I just did a callback for a commercial with a big casting director down here, Lori Wyman, that I'm really, really excited about. There's a lot of stuff. I'm doing a stand-up comedy charity show in New York for a group called Part of the Solution, which does community aid work in the Bronx. Really excited about that. I'll be doing a bunch of other shows up in New York at that time. And I'm auditioning all the time. So there's a lot of really, really cool stuff on the horizon. And, you know, hopefully I can come back on your show and talk about it in a couple months.
Definitely. Well, I just want to say, everyone, definitely go support Dick. We need more inspiring actors like Dick in this world. I just want to say thank you so much for appearing on my show yet again. It's been really incredible having you on as the guest. Like, do you have any last final thoughts for anyone that you'd like to share to people on the show?
First of all, thank you, man. You know, I really, really appreciate you having me on here and what you do for the acting community. You know, I've seen that you've interviewed a lot of actors. I think it's great. You know, I hope your audience grows as a result of this interview and the future interviews. The parting thing I would say to people is, don't be afraid to take a chance and do something that is risky. Because if you look at all the really big successes in the world, they were all highly risky. You know, look at Elon Musk taking all the money he made from PayPal and putting it into, you know, a electric car company and a space company. You know what I mean? It's like, now he's the richest person in the world. You know, I mean, anywhere you look at any big success, if you go back 10 or 20 years, they took a huge risk most of the time. I mean, no one gets handed success. Even you can get handed money, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be successful. The real key to success is taking risk. And it's scary, and it's scary for me, you know, to be doing what I'm doing, and you know, leaving a world that was very secure and very lucrative to do something that is essentially a freelance gig where I'm working for myself. But it's incredibly rewarding. I wake up every day happy, you know, and that I don't think you can put a price on it. I think there are very rich people that don't have that. So, you know, do what it is you really care about, whatever that is, because I think it, in the long run, will make you happier.